Tell me, does this sound profoundly familiar to you? Do your eyes constantly feel as if they're filled with coarse sandpaper? By the middle of the afternoon, do you find yourself instinctively rubbing them desperately, hoping for some relief, only to discover that the persistent burning sensation stubbornly remains? Perhaps you attempt to delve into your daily newspaper, but the words inexplicably begin to blur after merely a few minutes. What about watching your cherished television program that once offered such a delightful, quiet joy each and every evening? But now, it leaves your eyes aching and strained. Do you often catch yourself squinting or blinking excessively? And sometimes do you just simply give up on trying to see clearly? I truly grasp the depth of that feeling. Experiencing dry eyes, particularly after the age of 60, is far more than just a minor inconvenience. It tragically diminishes life's most gentle pleasures. Are you finding it difficult to immerse yourself in a beloved book, or to savor a leisurely stroll outdoors on a breezy day, or even to gaze at a screen for an extended period without that aggravating, gritty discomfort starting to creep in? Some individuals confide in me that they perceive their eyes as though they are literally scraping against a pane of glass. And here, I believe, lies the most challenging aspect. Most people refrain from discussing it. They simply resign themselves to it, accepting it as an inevitable consequence of growing older. They internalize the belief that this is just how things are now. They experiment with various drops, artificial tears, and sophisticated sprays, yet deep within, they inherently understand these solutions aren't truly rectifying the underlying issue. It merely offers a fleeting respite before the burning sensation invariably resumes. However, here is a crucial insight that many people unfortunately overlook. The phenomenon of dry eyes extends beyond just the ocular surface. As we advance in age, our tear glands naturally begin to diminish their tear production. The protective film that ensures our eyes remain adequately lubricated thins out, and certain medications, pre-existing health conditions, or even the arid indoor air from heating and cooling systems can exacerbate this problem significantly. It's a gradual, imperceptible progression, one that subtly encroaches upon your life until you realize you're actively avoiding activities you once held dear, perhaps reading to your beloved grandkids, leisurely browsing through old photo albums, or engaging in a stimulating crossword puzzle in the tranquil morning sunlight. But I have truly wonderful news for you. There exists a straightforward and entirely natural remedy that can genuinely assist. It's not a pharmaceutical, nor does it require a prescription. It's merely a selection of unassuming fruits, ones you've likely walked past innumerable times in the grocery store, completely unaware of the potent capabilities they possess. In just a few moments, I'm going to reveal to you 4 specific fruits that have the remarkable ability to help re-establish ocular moisture, mitigate inflammation, and even enhance the optimal function of your tear glands from within. But before we delve into these details, if this marks your initial visit here, I would be genuinely honored if you considered subscribing so you won't miss any of my natural, scientifically supported recommendations designed to help you feel more robust and healthier after 60. Please understand, you are absolutely not navigating this challenge in isolation, and dry eyes do not have to become your permanent reality. Allow me to illustrate what truly is achievable. Let us commence with something delightfully sweet and surprisingly efficacious: grapes. Most individuals perceive grapes solely as a casual snack or a component in winemaking, yet they harbor a concealed potency that is especially beneficial for eyes that are dry and aging. You see, grapes, particularly the darker, rich purple and red varieties, are replete with a compound known as resveratrol. This is a natural antioxidant predominantly found in the grape's skin. It possesses an extraordinary capacity to reduce inflammation and significantly improve blood circulation, extending even to the minuscule blood vessels that nourish your precious eyes. When this vital blood flow is enhanced, your tear glands receive the essential oxygen and nutrients they require to resume their proper functioning. What this translates to is a greater production of your body's own natural tears, not the artificial varieties from a bottle, but the authentic innate moisture your body generates to safeguard and comfort your eyes. Yet that is not the full extent of their benefits. Grapes also contain a good amount of vitamin A, which is absolutely indispensable for preserving a robust tear film, that delicate protective layer that blankets your eyes and prevents them from drying out. And this isn't merely theoretical conjecture. I wish to share with you the experience of Margaret, one of my patients residing in Nebraska. She is 68 years old, and over the past year she had been grappling with eyes that were persistently dry and intensely itchy, rendering her mornings quite unbearable. She harbored a deep affection for engaging in puzzles and crosswords, but as she recounted to me, "I cannot even concentrate for 10 minutes before my eyes feel as though they are on fire." She had experimented with the conventional eye drops, which offered temporary relief for perhaps an hour or two, only for the burning sensation to resurface almost immediately. So I posed a straightforward query to her. Have you ever considered integrating food as an integral part of your solution? Initially she chuckled, but I suggested she begin incorporating a cup of dark grapes into her daily regimen, ideally consumed with breakfast or as an afternoon refreshment. 3 weeks subsequent to our conversation, she returned and uttered something I will forever remember. "I don't comprehend what those grapes contain, but my eyes no longer ache when I draw open the curtains in the morning." This wasn't some mystical enchantment. It was the profound impact of proper nutrition. When you furnish your body with the appropriate resources such as antioxidants and vitamin A, the process of healing naturally commences from within. Now, if you are considering purchasing grapes, I strongly advise opting for the deeper colored cultivars. Red and purple grapes contain a higher concentration of resveratrol compared to their green counterparts. Please ensure you wash them thoroughly, consume them fresh, and do not be overly concerned about their sugar content. Grapes possess a low glycemic index and are perfectly safe to consume in moderation, even for individuals who are diligently monitoring their blood sugar levels. A single cup per day is quite sufficient. You can incorporate them into your oatmeal blend, them into a serving of plain yogurt, or simply relish a handful in the afternoon as an alternative to crackers or cookies. It's truly that uncomplicated. It is undeniably delicious, and over time it can contribute to your eyes feeling more comfortable, not just for a fleeting few hours, but throughout the entire day. Coming up next, I will unveil a tropical fruit that possesses the remarkable ability to combat inflammation in your eyes in a manner that no eye drop could ever achieve. Please remain with me. When your eyes experience burning itching or a raw sensation, it often signifies more than just a lack of moisture. In many instances, there's a more profound process at play: inflammation. Do you feel like the tiny glands surrounding your eyes are perpetually irritated or easily become clogged? Even when your body attempts to produce tears, is the entire system simply too inflamed to function correctly? This is precisely where pineapple enters the picture. This vibrant tropical fruit offers far more than just its delightful juiciness and sweetness. It is abundantly endowed with bromelain, a naturally occurring enzyme renowned for its capacity to reduce inflammation throughout the entire body, extending its benefits specifically to the delicate areas around the eyes. And in stark contrast to numerous anti-inflammatory medications that can potentially upset your stomach or elevate your blood pressure, bromelain is remarkably gentle and comes with an additional invaluable advantage: hydration. Pineapple is composed of nearly 90% water. For seniors who may not consistently consume an adequate amount of fluids throughout their day, this supplementary hydration provides crucial support for the tear film, that critically thin layer that maintains the moist and protected surface of your eyes. Not to mention, pineapple serves as a rich reservoir of vitamin C, which plays an instrumental role in facilitating the repair of delicate tissues, including those located around your eyes. This translates directly to a reduction in irritation, an enhancement in tear production, and a noticeable decrease in that grating, scratchy sensation that renders everyday activities so profoundly uncomfortable. I recall a conversation with George, a retired postman from Georgia, who approached me with a profound sense of frustration. He lamented, "I haven't shed a tear in 10 years, not because I lack emotion, but simply because I cannot. My eyes are perpetually dry." His eyes were consistently red, a condition particularly exacerbated after spending time outdoors. He had exhausted every brand of over-the-counter drops available. My recommendation was remarkably simple: half a cup of fresh pineapple consumed with lunch each day. 6 weeks later, he telephoned me, his voice brimming with unbridled excitement. "For the first time in years," he exclaimed, "I witnessed my grandson's piano recital, and I actually welled up, not from pain, but from profound pride." That particular moment held immense significance for him, and equally so for me. It served as a powerful reminder that food transcends mere sustenance. It can indeed function as a potent form of medicine, particularly when addressing inflammatory conditions. Now, if you are contemplating incorporating pineapple into your diet, allow me to offer a few practical suggestions. Whenever feasible, opt for fresh pineapple over its canned counterpart. Canned pineapple is frequently steeped in syrup, which introduces unnecessary sugar and concurrently diminishes its beneficial bromelain content. Should fresh pineapple be unavailable, frozen pineapple chunks represent an excellent second choice. And always, I emphasize, always consume pineapple with a meal, never on an empty stomach, as its inherent acidity can potentially cause discomfort for some seniors. Just a few slices daily can initiate the process of calming the inflammatory fire. And when your eyes are less inflamed, they regain a greater capacity to produce their own natural tears once more, gently, organically, and without the reliance on an eyedropper. Because true relief should never emanate from a bottle. It should spring forth from the healing of what is fundamentally amiss within. There is an undeniable comfort found in the act of peeling an orange. That vivid bright hue, the invigorating burst of citrus, the delightful aroma that pervades the air. But for your eyes especially, those prone to dryness and showing signs of aging oranges are far more than a mere comfort food. They are, in essence, medicine. You see, oranges stand as one of the most abundant natural sources of vitamin C. And this particular vitamin plays an absolutely critical role in maintaining your ocular health, specifically in how effectively your eyes retain essential moisture and actively combat damage. Allow me to elaborate on its mechanism. Vitamin C is indispensable for the body's synthesis of collagen, a fundamental protein that provides structural integrity to the cornea and helps to preserve the health of your delicate tear ducts and the stability of your tear film. Without an adequate supply of collagen, these intricate tissues become compromised. Consequently, your eyes become more susceptible to dryness, irritation, and damage stemming from environmental stressors. But its benefits do not cease there. Oranges are also heavily laden with flavonoids, a category of plant compounds that significantly enhance blood circulation, including to the minute capillaries that nourish your eyes. Improved circulation directly translates to superior oxygen delivery, enhanced nutrient supply, and ultimately more efficient tear production. I once cared for a patient named Robert, a 73-year-old retired mechanic residing in Tucson, Arizona. Now, if you are at all familiar with Arizona, you will undoubtedly understand the extreme aridity of its air. Robert conveyed to me, "By noon, my eyes feel like two desiccated sponges. I've completely ceased reading because the printed words consistently blur. I even find myself wearing sunglasses indoors simply to mitigate the intensity of the light." He had explored prescription drops, various gels, and even installed humidifiers in every room of his home. I inquired of him, "Could you describe your typical diet?" He merely shrugged and responded, "I don't really consume fruit. It's never been a habit of mine." So I presented him with a challenge. For 30 consecutive days, without a single omission, consume one fresh orange every morning before anything else. He was clearly skeptical, but nonetheless he expressed a willingness to try. A month later, he entered my office holding a bag filled with oranges and declared, "I must offer you an apology. I genuinely believed this was merely outdated advice, but for the first time in years, I can sit outdoors in the sunlight without my eyes burning." That, my friend, is the quiet, unassuming power of consistent effort. Oranges do not produce instantaneous results, but allow them sufficient time and their vital nutrients will begin the process of rebuilding what years of persistent dryness and inflammation have gradually eroded. And here is perhaps the most appealing aspect. Incorporating oranges into your daily routine is remarkably simple. Slice one to accompany your breakfast. Pack one in your bag when you venture out. If the act of peeling presents a challenge for your hands, consider trying cuties or mandarins. They are softer and considerably easier to manage. However, please steer clear of carton orange juice. The majority of commercially available juices are pasteurized and significantly stripped of their beneficial fiber content. What you truly require is the whole fruit, its fiber, its pulp, and all its inherent goodness. One orange per day, that is all it takes. It is a minor act of self-care, yet for your eyes it can signify a world of profound difference, because behind every blink, every glance, every moment of clear perception lies a body that is finally receiving its essential requirements. They may be diminutive in size, but do not permit their small stature to deceive you. Strawberries represent one of the most potent fruits you can consume when your objective is to restore comfort to eyes that are dry and irritated. Most individuals categorize strawberries as a mere indulgence, something to be dipped in chocolate or incorporated into a dessert. However, in reality, they are replete with the precise nutrients your eyes truly crave, especially as you gracefully mature. Firstly, much like oranges, strawberries are abundantly rich in vitamin C. In fact, they contain more vitamin C cup for cup than an orange. This robust vitamin C content aids your body in preserving the crucial collagen structures within your eyes, which are precisely responsible for maintaining the health of your tear ducts and ensuring the stability of your tear film. But what truly sets strawberries apart is their generous endowment of anthocyanins. These are the deep red pigments that bestow upon the berries their vibrant characteristic color. These compounds function as formidable antioxidants. They actively combat oxidative stress, effectively reduce inflammation, and provide protection to the minute blood vessels surrounding your eyes, preventing their deterioration. When oxidative damage accumulates, as it frequently does after the age of 60, your eyes gradually forfeit their capacity to remain adequately hydrated. The tear film consequently becomes unstable. You find yourself blinking more frequently, yet your eyes continue to feel raw and uncomfortable. Anthocyanins play a pivotal role in reversing this detrimental process. They do not merely diminish existing damage. They actively reconstruct the optimal environment upon which healthy eyes depend. I vividly recall Irene, a 70-year-old retired school teacher who once cherished her gardening endeavors. She approached me one day, her eyes brimming with tears, stating, "I can't even plant tomatoes without my eyes turning completely red. They sting, and I feel as though I'm crying, yet there's absolutely no moisture." I meticulously reviewed her dietary habits. She was not consuming many colorful fruits at all, and certainly no berries. So we implemented a minor adjustment: 1 cup of strawberries 5 days a week, whether frozen or fresh, whichever she could easily procure. After 3 weeks, she telephoned me and shared something truly beautiful. "I returned to my yard today. The wind was blowing, and for the first time in months, my eyes did not scream at me." That, my dear patient, is the quiet, inherent strength of nature. It does not proclaim, it heals. Strawberries are remarkably easy to integrate into your daily routine. Simply toss them into a bowl of oats, blend them into a refreshing smoothie, or merely enjoy them plain after your evening meal. If they are out-of-season, frozen strawberries are equally beneficial and frequently more economical. Just ensure you are selecting whole strawberries, not those packaged in syrup or containing added sugar. Maintain simplicity. Maintain purity. A half cup to 1 cup daily is ample to begin observing discernible improvements, not necessarily in your visual acuity, but in the overall sensation of your eyes. They will feel less scratchy, less fatigued, and more at ease. Because sometimes all your eyes truly require is for you to invest just a little more care and attention into what you place on your plate. Now that you are acquainted with these beneficial fruits, let us transition from knowledge to practical application. Because what truly holds significance isn't merely being aware of what works. It is the actual implementation of these practices in a manner that is both straightforward and sustainable. And for eyes that are persistently dry and aching, you do not require an elaborate or complicated routine. What you truly need is a measure of unwavering consistency. Begin your mornings with either 1 fresh orange or a cup of sliced strawberries. You can savor them independently or incorporate them into a bowl of oatmeal or yogurt. This seemingly small habit serves to deliver a robust dose of vitamin C and potent antioxidants precisely when your body is most receptive to them, first thing in the day. In the afternoon, during that time when your eyes frequently feel most tired and dry, reach for a handful of grapes. Approximately 1 cup of dark red or purple grapes will suffice beautifully. They are convenient to pack gentle on your digestive system and provide resveratrol to bolster blood flow to your eyes and gently naturally reduce internal inflammation. With your lunch or dinner, make it a point to include a few slices of pineapple, whether fresh or frozen. About half a cup to 1 cup is ideal. However, please ensure you consume it with a meal, not on an empty stomach, particularly if you possess a sensitivity to acidity. The bromelain present in pineapple supports the healing of delicate tissues and assists in calming irritation surrounding the tear glands. Now you might be contemplating, must I consume all 4 of these fruits every single day? Absolutely not. Start modestly. Select 2 fruits each day and rotate them according to your preference. On certain days, it might be strawberries and grapes. On others, perhaps pineapple and an orange. The most crucial aspect is your steadfast adherence to this practice day after day. Some individuals observe an improvement in the sensation of their eyes within a mere week. For others, it may necessitate 3 or 4 weeks to experience genuine comfort, and that is perfectly acceptable. Healing is a subtle, gradual process, but it will manifest if you remain consistent. In conjunction with incorporating these fruits, there are a few daily habits that can significantly contribute to your well-being. Consuming an adequate amount of water throughout the day actively assists your eyes in maintaining a healthy tear film. If you reside in an arid climate, or frequently utilize heating or air conditioning, operating a small humidifier in your sleeping environment can notably alleviate overnight dryness. Wearing sunglasses when outdoors provides essential protection for your eyes against wind and sunlight, both of which can exacerbate dryness. And if you devote considerable time to a computer or mobile phone, please remember to periodically avert your gaze every 20 minutes and focus on a distant object to minimize ocular strain. But above all else, please do not overthink it. You do not require a multitude of products or a prescription to commence the healing process. Sometimes the most effective solution is already readily available within your own kitchen. When you provide your body with the appropriate nourishment, A few simple fruits, a modicum of care, and consistent patience. Your eyes will recall how to naturally restore themselves gradually and enduringly. You were not intended to navigate life through a constant squint. You were not meant to forego the pleasure of reading, cease enjoying the beauty of a sunrise, or avoid cherished family photo albums simply because your eyes experience burning itching or feel as though they are encased in sand. That is not the inevitable trajectory of aging. That is your body subtly yet urgently requesting assistance and finally receiving it. Grapes, pineapple, oranges, strawberries. They are not magical elixirs. They are not fleetingly trendy superfoods accompanied by empty assurances. They are authentic, wholesome, natural gifts abundantly packed with the precise nutrients your eyes have been yearning for. And here lies the truly beautiful truth. Irrespective of how long you have been contending with dry eyes, it is absolutely not too late. Your body still possesses the remarkable capacity to respond. Your tear glands can still resume their proper function, and your comfort, your clarity of vision, and your daily joy, they can all still return. All that is required of you is a measure of consistency and a degree of faith, and something as fundamental as the dietary choices you make. I have witnessed it occur countless times. Seniors who had resigned themselves to never finding relief are finally reading bedtime stories to their grandchildren once more. They are finally enjoying walks outdoors without the incessant need for sunglasses. They are finally able to watch a film without instinctively reaching for eye drops every 10 minutes. And that, my dear patient, is precisely what I desire for you as well, because you unequivocally deserve to perceive the world with clarity, not merely through your eyes, but with the profound tranquility of knowing that your health is firmly within your grasp.